talk about memory. And specifically, we're going to talk about different ways that you can use memory strategies in order to increase the amount of information that you remember. This would be really helpful information, for example, when you're studying for an exam. So when we begin, do you have any memories of information that's nearly impossible for you to forget? For example, your phone number. Alicia?
My name.
Your name. Perfect example. So why do you suppose we have such strong memories for information like our phone number, or like Alicia said, for our name?
Because we repeat it.
Excellent, Charlotte. We were constantly repeating that information. It makes it almost impossible to forget. So, repetition is a really good way to help increase the amount of information that you remember from a chapter that you're reading while you're preparing for an exam.
Hermann Ebbinghaus was a psychologist who discovered the power of repetition in regard to memory by studying nonsense syllables. The more frequently he studied the list of nonsense syllables, the more he could remember.
Now, think about when you're studying for an exam. Can you think of how you might use repetition while you're studying a certain chapter? Ryan?
You reread keywords.
Constantly going over vocabulary terms, rereading the words, going over the information. That's a great example of repetition. But if we combine repetition with spaced practice, we can develop even stronger memories for the material that we're learning for the exam.
Which do you think would be more effective, spending 6 hours the night before the exam studying, or spending an hour a night for 6 nights? Research and common sense tell us it's more effective to spread out your efforts.
So the serial position effect says that we're really good at remembering the first bits and the last bits of the information that we take in. And we're not so good at remembering the stuff in the middle. So if we take what we know from the serial position effect and spaced practice, we can increase the amount of information that we retain. So here's an example. Here's the chapter you read. The serial position effect says that we're really good at remembering this information and this information. But the entire middle of the chapter, we're sort of vague on. So let's combine that with spaced practice. Now you're going to read the chapter, except you're going to read it in small chunks. So here's chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, and 4. So now for the first chunk, I'm really good at remembering the first bit and the last bit. Chunk 2, the first bit and the last bit. And so on and so forth. And you can see that the information that we're not so good at remembering is much smaller.
So remember, it's not just the amount of hours you study that influence your memory of the information. Repetition, spaced practice, and serial position effects can impact your memory as well.
These easy steps will help you study more effectively and help you remember more of the information that you study.